I'm thinking we should just introduce ourselves first, and then maybe tell something about what we write, why we write, and what kind of stuff we write about, and why we do it. Uh, do you like that stuff?
Sounds good. And then we can also add like what
Yeah,
our zines about, since we'll be discussing them
yeah,
later
yeah, yeah.
on. Yeah.
hmm And since I brought it up, I guess I'll start. Yeah, so I'm Catalina Velasquez. Or you could just call me Cat. Um, uh, I write a lot of things, but my zine for this festival is a collection of poetry. I believe you guys have seen it. It's a 50-page chapbook. It's not really a zine per se, but yeah, it's a collection of poems, particularly footnote poems. So yeah, I started writing that way back 2012. And it's mostly a product of heartbreak. I mean, most poetry is uh, a product of heartbreak. And then, yeah, so aside, other than poems, I also write a lot of prose. I've released some books here in the Philippines under Eight Letters Publishing, whose editor in chief actually did a talk, I think a few days ago, in the same festival. So yeah, the title of the zine I wrote, or yeah, the title of the zine that I wrote is uh, somewhere somebody else, and yeah, I can't well I can't really say anything about it without spoiling any of the content, but it's just footnote poems, mostly out of heartbreak, mostly about wanting to be something else. It's a meditation on othering, I would say, um, where in the process of writing, you often find yourself to be a different person after writing a poem. I'm sure a lot of you guys could relate to that. Um, right, like something like you're wounded as you write, and then after writing, you're a different person, not necessarily better. Sometimes we become worse as we write, but I don't really wanna dwell on that. But yeah, it's available at the Zane store, so I hope our listeners check it out. I'm sorry if I talk too much, but yeah, that's it for me.
Thanks, Kat. It's totally good that you're talking a lot. That is the purpose of a Zinester talk. And I really liked your chapbook. I like the format because I haven't seen anything like it before. So I want to understand and know your process for that later on. But okay, introductions first. So, hi, I'm Yuni Okamoto. That's not my real name. It's a pen name. Okamoto was the Japanese surname that I never got to use because um, a lot of people were fighting against the Japanese when 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 that name transferred to us. So yeah, because of the World War II thing, which was terrible. But I digress. Writing. I write about a lot of things, but the themes that I gravitate towards the most these days are body, so movement, neutrality, positivity, all that stuff. I also like exploring travel lately, so travel reflections, travel essays, travel logs. And as always, I really like exploring feminism or feminist issues. So that's what my zine is about. It touches on that. It's a it's something related to misogyny and the things that I'm not sure if I can swear, but the things that people whisper about a woman in the hallways. So yeah, I used to do a lot of poetry. I did spoken word, performed for stages in the past. But lately, I have been having a hard time doing poetry. I'm mostly doing prose and essays these days. Yeah, so that's it.
Hi, nice to meet you, Uni and Kat. I'm KB, and hello to everyone tuning in to this Zinester Talk. Thanks for making time. So, as I said, I'm KB, and I'm also from the Philippines, and I make zines, among other things. My zine is called Okay to Be. It's a very simple zine. I started it in 2021, but I have made zines before. Um, okay to be zine is very straightforward. It comes in the traditional format of a zine, the 8 pager. So all you need is the A4 or whatever whatever paper you have, and just fold everything into 8 parts. So what I make are zines that carry affirming messages. So for example, I have an issue that talks about feeling okay to be scared, or feeling okay to be carefree, or okay to be slow. So essentially, it just carries messages for my fellow creators and also for myself. Because, when we create things, right, like there are always good and bad days. So I just thought it would be nice to have that reminder that it's okay to be feeling, or to be whoever you are at the moment. And yeah, I guess it's all about my scenes. I hope that resonated with you. I am so happy. Can I just say that I am so happy to find out that you, Kat and Uni, you match your zines in a way, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have read your zines. Thanks very much for sharing. That's all from me.
Yeah, I read your zine as well, and I don't think it's simple. I disagree when you say that it's a simple zine, because if you see the cover of my zine, it's like a series of buildings that I took a picture somewhere in EDSA here in the
Mhm.
Philippines, and then I just connected with an app. So, um, and I think you handcrafted your illustrations, right?
Yeah, I do doodle. I won't say I illustrate because it's such a grand term, but I do doodle. And I also I just try a lot of things. It doesn't mean I'm good at them, but as
Mhm.
my zine says, it's okay to be trying things.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and that's one thing I liked about the series of zines that you have available
oh,
right
thank
now,
you.
because I can't draw a thing. I mean, if I try drawing one thing, it becomes something else.
Something else.
So no,
It
I can't
a
do that.
poem.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
God, you just have to try.
So
I don't. I mean,
yeah,
I don't have
no.
any technical or any theoretical or any real
Mhm,
skills. I just
mhm. Yeah,
try.
mhm. But yeah, I think one thing that I liked about your zines is that um, you know, I'm the type of I'm the type of person who um this may sound a bit snobbish, but I don't really buy into all that, positivity thing. I don't
Mhm.
really read a lot of self-help books. But
Mhm.
uh
It's
it
okay. You
takes
can
it is
tell
a great
me.
no 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 no. My thesis is that one thing I liked about your zine. So this is nothing negative, but in a world, or in a time wherein there are a lot of political issues happening, there are a lot of bad things happening around the world, and no, I won't be dwelling on that. But with a lot of things happening, it's really a brave thing to say that you're okay, and that despite all that dread and all that sorrow and all that thing happening, being okay does not necessarily mean that you're being selfish or you're being ignorant of about what's happening, but it's just that you're okay. And it's okay to be okay. It's okay to be simple. It's okay to be stoic at times because
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes you really don't have any control about things, right? I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, I dwelt on it too much, but yeah, because that's one thing that I've been reflecting on those scenes because I can't write. I'm not the type of person who can say that I'm okay or who can write about things being okay because sometimes it's easier to write about sad things than than the happy ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's the
agree.
absence
Same.
of the
Great company.
sometimes it's the absence of the thing that enables you to write the saddest poetry, and then the possession of it is like a bit trivial. You don't really write about having it. I don't know. I hope it makes sense. But yeah, that's one thing that I admired about you and those scenes. Is that it's a brave statement on it's okay to be okay. I mean, things could be bad things could be happening, but there are okay things.
Thank
I
you.
agree.
That's it.
To add to that, another thing I really like about your zines is how it's so constant. You said it's a monthly zine, and in a way, each zine is always different. The concept, the art style, the content. So I see it as you pushing your boundaries every time, pushing your limits and your comfort zone. And I really like that. It's in the title too. It's okay to be okay, just okay. Because for me, I'm a perfectionist, so it takes me forever to finish something. Like my zine took me months. So I really admire how you manage to make it so consistent and how you're okay with not making it super tip top perfect to the point that you never publish it. I think that's very brave, and I think that's something that I can learn from you and your zine. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. I'm moved to tears. Like I'm close to tears. But I really appreciate the kind words and for taking the time to read my zine. So you're both correct that um I do think that we need a little more, like a bit more of positivity with everything that's happening, and that it's also okay to put out something that isn't perfect or like not up well. My zines are up to my standards. Like I'm always happy whenever I put out a zine, and I try to do that monthly, yes, because it's also a project on my Patreon, so my patrons are always expecting a monthly release. So I do that. It's great exercise for me, and I'm not well. My thought process, because I do a lot of other things creatively. So for this project, I don't really think much about it. I just create one and just don't think about who's gonna read it or what. It's mostly for me, and so I think that's why it feels like I don't know, like you guys are telling me like, oh, you're so brave. It's such a brave statement, but to me, it just feels like I'm just being myself and just feeling comfortable where I am creatively, and that yeah, it's my zines are me. Like I'm okay to be me. I'm okay to be KB, and that's why my name is on there. So well, thank you, Uni. It's brave to be yourself as a writer, and I think you guys are the same. Like I've gone through your zines multiple times because it's something different from mine, especially cats. Um, I read the whole thing. I checked all the footnotes and stuff, and I agree with Uni that the format is something that's new to me. I mean, I've seen it before, but I haven't been reading chapbooks or zines that follow the same format. So I would really love to like hear about the process and how you get to that point, like deciding how your zine looks like. And Uni took a long time brewing her zine. And yeah, our zines are experimental um, in different ways. And I would love to hear more about your processes because that's what I'm really into. Like I really want to know like how people get there. So you guys turn.
Yeah, I think I will bank on what you said about it's okay to be yourself. You know, build. I would like to build on that, because the title of my chat book is someone somewhere else, and it's like I mentioned before, it's something about othering. You know, being a different person or thinking about being a different person. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, as I write, as the persona try to describe themselves and try to be poetic about their environment. I'm sure you've seen those poems, but at the end of the day, you're still yourself. You can think of becoming something else. You think of becoming somebody else. You think about doing something else, but at the end of the day, you haven't done much, and you're just yourself, right? So that's one thing. Now, as for the form, it's actually an inspiration from some of the writers that I've been reading. So the first one is, are you familiar with like David Foster Wallace? He's a American novelist, and he has this habit of using footnotes in his works. So if you're familiar with his book, Infinite Jest, it has a lot of footnotes, and some of those footnotes even have their own footnotes, and it's meant to be sort of like a break in the narrative, something like that. So that's one. And then there's also this Filipino poet named Conchitina Cruz, and she has this wonderful book of poems called Dark Hours, and there are a series of those poems which has footnotes. So that's the inspiration regarding the form. So it's not really something new; it's been done before, and Katie has said that she has read some of those in from other works. Now, basically, my process, it's a combination of philosophy and all that stuff, and I believe that writers like us or authors, um, I believe that as we write, whatever we're writing, whether it be poetry or novels or whatnot, when we write, we put bits and pieces of ourselves, in what we're writing. So in a way, we're kind of burying. That's my analogy here. I look at poetry and our works as graves, right? And we, the writers, we put bits and pieces of ourselves, maybe our dark sides, maybe bits of our good sides, whatever. We bury it in that grave, which is poetry or fiction, all right? And the words that we use, they are, I would say, gravestones. Okay, so in a way, the work is a grave. The words are gravestones, and the reader. Okay, the process of the reader. What happens with the process of reading is that it's sort of an exhumation. All right, the bits and pieces that we buried in our work is being exhumed by the reader. Uh, and whatever they exhume, whatever they dug up from that grave, may become a new part of themselves, not necessarily for the better, I would say. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I've been reflecting on as I write the chat book, which is why there are talks of death, there are talks of um sex, there are talks of um nihilism and a lot of things. It's not really a positive positive book. So after reading my chat book, you should go to the OK series by KB in order to feel some form of positivity afterward. Yeah, because it's a bit dark, because it's a reflection on what I discussed about poetry and gravestones and exhuming the meaning from the poetry itself. So yeah, so footnotes, it works the same way, right? So if you read one line from the poem and then there's a footnote, oftentimes the footnote is like a contradicting idea or an additional idea. that may support or may contradict the line. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm selling my chapbook so much. But yeah,
As you
so
should. As you should. Just go.
yeah, but yeah, that's basically it. Sometimes the footnote does not necessarily support the line. Sometimes the footnote is a different persona than the persona that is talking in the poem. So yeah, think of it as like poetry if it's written by what's the name of that person from the movie Split? Are you familiar with the movie Split? So if the poet has multiple personalities writing at once. Probably that's what's happening in my chapbook. Yeah. Did you write the footnote first? Um, in my case, as I write the line, the footnote is already talking. So sometimes I finish a line and then the footnote follows. Yeah, and then sometimes because what I do is I write a piece with the footnote, okay, and then I let it rest for like a week or so. And then when I come back, sometimes the voices in my head are already changing. So sometimes I delete the footnote and it's changed by a new one, things like that. So it's really not a happy process as well. Two sides of the same coin, yes, that's right. But sometimes they are the same because it really depends on what's happening also in the poem. Yeah, yeah. So that's why like I said, I started writing it in 2012. So it's 2023 when I became brave enough to actually share it with the world, or at least with Southeast Asia.
Congratulations, Kat. And you know
Yeah.
I could actually read the years in the poems, if that makes sense, because the voice changes from one to another, but then it's still, I don't mean the voice, because the voice is still the same somehow.
Hmm.
The style differs, but the voice is the same. That's what I mean. So,
Hmm.
because I've, I've read it a few times, because it's something
My
that's
gosh, are you a masochist or something?
no, no, because it's super interesting. Yeah, like I am
Oh my
familiar
gosh,
with
thanks.
footnotes, but I've never really read them in poetry. So, because I
Mhm.
don't know, I don't know if you've heard the discussion about like footnotes being a distraction from the actual art
Mhm.
form or the text. So,
Yeah.
to me, you were brave for like doing this. And that was why when I first saw it, oh, I should read this and I should try reading it like, for example, after one line, then I'll read the footnote as I usually do when I read footnotes. And then yeah, as you said, that sometimes it contradicts the line or sometimes it supports it. So it's a very interesting experience because poetry is can sometimes be as simple as like just linear or chronological, but this is different. Like there are, you go from top to bottom and then bottom again to top. So it's like you're in a seesaw. The dark side of cave. I do have, we all have it. Gosh. Um, Thanks for that. Kat, I did hear that you published this book with 8 letters, right?
No, no, no. This I published the zines just here for the festival,
Oh,
but I
for the
have a novel and a
another book.
series of short fiction published by
Oh,
8 letters. Yeah.
interesting. I used to work with them because I know Cindy, the head
Hmm.
curator, the editor in chief. So
Yeah.
okay, let me
Hmm.
check out your books. So your live selling has worked.
Yes.
Check out the rest. And
Yeah.
how about uni? Uni also has such a like it's dark, but then it's also so beautiful. Like, have you seen her zine? Like, it's
Yeah, and it's pretty controversial because
I know,
I think she
very
mentioned it
strong
also
messages.
about,
Yeah.
yeah, misogyny and all that. So I think the word for today would be brave, right? Because to talk
Yeah.
about these things, it's really brave, yeah.
Yeah, for
Can you
sure.
just share, yeah, about your creative process? I mean, we, from what I've heard, I mean, KB has a different process. I, of course, have a different process, and now I'm curious about yours. Yeah.
Okay, sure, yeah. So for mine, the writing was really quick. The person I'm writing about, I know in real life. So I just heard about what they were saying about her, and I just got so angry as a feminist and empowered women. I got so angry, and my as a writer, my natural instinct was to just jot it down in my notes app. So that's what I did. The writing was really quick. It just took me like a few minutes, and that's it. A lot of my poetry is really fueled by anger or negative emotions like sadness. So yeah, it's really hard for me to write positive things like KB does. So much respect for that again. So the writing was quick. It was a creative process that took forever. So this is a risograph zine, and I am not a formal designer. I do not know how to use Photoshop or any sort of professional software. So I actually just made this with Canva, not sponsored. And it's really hard because when you're doing risograph, um, you can't put in the colors already. So I was working with black and white on Canva. And I'm also not an illustrator, so all of this is actually just collage work. Yes, Canva should sponsor us, should hire me or commission me or something. But yeah, it was really hard. It took me weeks, almost a month or so to finish the creative process. I had to source photos that, were available and okay for me to use. I mostly just used the Canva ones again. Like it just took forever because I was working with black and white. I had to like calculate in my head where would the red go? How would I overlay it? How is this gonna work? I had no idea how it was gonna appear because when I did the risograph zine, it was through a workshop with Bad Student, and I'm based in Cebu and they're based in Manila. So I had no way of knowing how the zine was gonna turn out until I finally received it like months later. So that was the process. The writing was really quick because with poetry it's just I just feel my feelings. It's the creative part, the design aspect that took forever. So yeah. How I decided on the creative aspect is really just to build on and supplement what the writing says. Because each page is just one line. So I wanted to sort of blow that out and fill the page in visual form, if that makes sense. You can see in the first page, the line says blame a woman's body. Of course, the body was very prominent. It's also on a pedestal, but the pedestal and the body are surrounded by thorns. So yeah, I was just trying to emphasize on the writing. So that's my process for that zine. It varies, of course, per project or per write up, but that's for that particular one.
Yeah, I like what you said about the most of the poems are just like one liners and all that, and you want it to be um to sort of leak out of the pages, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And and I think that that actually is a good thing because these issues, these things happening to lots of women, not only in the Philippines but around the world, these deserves more than a shout, right? More than a scream. even. And I like what's happening on the pages of your zine is that um it's a shout. It's a shout from a page, right? And it works. It could work as a pamphlet to be distributed on, a lot of social movements and whatnot. And
Oh,
about time.
really? Incidentally,
Yeah.
when I wrote this, I was with Gabriela Youth actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess the the energy rubbed off on the zine.
As it should. I mean, not to be. I mean, this isn't a political talk, but um, the moment we write, we are we're engaging into politics already. So.
That's true.
Mhm.
Which is why I really liked yours too. I saw a lot of social commentary on poverty, on capitalism, and all of that. So I really enjoyed that. But there was also something funny in there. It gave me BoJack Horseman vibes a bit, honestly, because it was just a whole bunch of different topics that fit. Writing is inherently
Yeah, yeah,
political. Yes, Theo.
it is. It is. It is Theo. Yeah, yeah, and cannot be separated.
Yeah,
And I mean,
everything we do is
yeah.
political. So
True.
Yes, of
it's just
course,
that
of course.
this talk isn't exactly a political talk. That's I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah, of course.
that meant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was so fascinating to listen to, Uni. And I
Yeah,
can't believe that you did all this on Canva. Like I use Canva too, but I haven't tried this
yeah.
exact style.
Not that
So,
good, right? Yeah,
Oh, it was
not
so
that
hard.
good.
It was lagging so much because there was just so many images and
yeah.
icons. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so
The
much for your kind words. And I really enjoyed your zines and chapbooks too.
I know. I mean, Uni and Kat, you're almost in the same category, and I just feel like because you keep on saying that I my zines are more on the positive, affirming side, and I
Mhm,
do agree with that. But it took me years to get here as well. So I do
mhm,
really commiserate with you. So I get it, and one
mhm,
day we'll all get there.
mhm,
Because I think it also comes from me working on like romance books. So because I also edit books, so I work on happy endings a lot, and
mhm,
it's also rubbed off on me. So now I'm like, and even now that I'm talking, like I'm smiling, even though I don't know if there's anything to smile about. But it's just that I do understand where that um I don't want to call it negativity, but it's just our feelings, and our feelings
mhm,
need to be expressed. And
mhm,
it's great to have that out there because somebody, and not just somebody, so many people are going through the same things. And it's
mhm.
art, and if someone picks up your art and they can relate to it, and it feels a bit like a balm to the soul. So every work has its own audience, every work has its own right reader. So I'm sorry, I gotta catch up because I think Theo's saying something in the chat.
It's more of those Canva discourse that they're having.
Oh yeah, Canva. Oh, thank you, Canva. We're not sponsored. Thank you, Canva, because I also make my zines on Canva. Like
Mhm,
layout wise and stuff. Like it's been really helpful because it's easier to use than like opening InDesign or
mhm.
other layout software. That's it. Like, I do have a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah.
of I have a lot of questions for you guys, but I don't want to hoard the
Oh,
time. I just want to go with the flow. Oh, hi Theo. Yeah, I think so. But it's important to celebrate our joys and celebrate our
mhm,
pains. So
Yeah, yeah. I think the same. Like it's not really wrong to be happy, especially if you're feeling happy. You probably deserve it, right? Um,
Some people
and
don't.
I hope you don't get me wrong when I say that.
No, no, no,
I'm
no.
not really
We
a
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I revel on the sadness. I think this just my creative I would say my creative diving board. Sometimes I even doubt myself first before I can't finish the story or I can't finish this novel, but in a matter of months, I would finish it. Probably it's part of my I have to come from a point of self-loathing before before I push
Mhm.
myself to finish a project.
But can
Not
I
not
ask?
everyone is the same. Yeah, sure, sure.
Can I ask? If this
Sure.
goes for you too, then she can answer. So
Mhm,
what is it? I mean, this is almost a rhetorical question, but what stops you from like pushing out something? Because you did say that you need to go to a certain place before you can
mhm,
produce art.
mhm.
So, I mean, I'm sure you've overanalyzed everything, and I think just I'm just wanting to open Pandora's box,
Yeah,
like, because we all
sure.
we all have it. We all have it. Like there's self doubt, self pity, and
Mhm,
I'm never gonna be good enough. Nobody's gonna relate to my
mhm,
work and stuff. But all of those are lies. All of those are not
mhm.
true. Like it's just in our head, but
Yeah,
it's worth discussing because it happens to any creator, to every creator. So, there. What do
yeah.
you think? Like,
Uh,
why do you think
mhm.
are you there? Is this a therapy session of some sort? But let's just go through it.
Oh my gosh.
In my case, I don't know. I really don't know. It's just that I could write more things about tragedy than happy things. When I write a happy ending, sometimes I feel like it wasn't me.
Mm,
Ooh,
I don't
that's
know. Yeah.
interesting.
Uh. Yeah. Yeah. I really don't know. That's why I can't stomach inspiring stories at times. I like something like
mhm.
Tuesdays with Maury. I'm sure those books are beautiful, and I have nothing against the people who enjoyed those books. But I read it, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really inspired. I'm more like disgusted
Don't
about
worry, you'll
how
get there.
authors they can look at the world. Yeah, probably because I've read too much philosophy, like Nietzsche and all that stuff, which is why I have
Yeah,
this outlook about existence, about the meaning of life, and all. But I
yeah.
found that more comforting, if that makes sense. I,
Of
I
course, to
found
each
more
their
comfort
own.
in it, and yeah, yeah, to each his own. But yeah, I found more comfort in the knowledge that nothing's waiting for me out there
Yeah,
than believing in heaven or something like that. I'm really sorry.
yeah. No, you
No,
don't
it's
have to be
fine.
sorry.
That's
We all
totally okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
to each their
okay to
own.
be
okay
negative.
to be dark. Okay to be dark.
That's for your next scene, KB.
No, so guys, I'm sorry if I'm overtaking. Like I have a lot of
Oh no, it's
process
okay.
wise. Like how do you start? Because your work is what 13 years old, and also Yuli's work
It
is
is,
like
yeah.
months old. So, um, how how did you get here? Like you sat down and then you started laying out things. You started compiling stuff. Because for me, I just want to want to share mine first before I listen to you guys. Well, for me, I think of an idea today and then I'll start doing it. And then if I get to finish within the day, then that's it. If I feel like I need to revise something, then I put it aside and then return to it tomorrow. And then if I'm happy, if I feel like I'm happy with it, then it's gonna go out. Unless it needs beta reading or like feedback. If I'm working with other, like if I collaborate with other people, which was how the zine started. The OK to be zines were initially a collaborative zine. So I just shifted to like to to me, myself. But it started out as a collaborative zine. So once I have an idea and have people working on it, then once we're finished, there's not a lot of back and forth anymore. It just goes out and then people get to read it and it gets shared. So how does your process look like? Especially, I think this is going to be interesting for those listening and watching and tuning in because I'm sure they're also interested in making their own zines if they haven't made theirs yet. So, there,
I really
Yuli?
admire your yeah, yeah. I really admire your process first and foremost. How quick you are to act on an idea and actually like put it out there. I'm like the opposite because I'm very critical towards myself to the point of detriment. Oftentimes, the things I seriously work on, they don't really see the light of day. The ones that I do end up publishing, like this one, or performing on stage, they're the spontaneous ones. They're the things that just come out when I feel like a surge of emotion. It could be anger, it could be happiness, it could be something else. But mostly the ones that I do end up putting out is just driven by this spontaneity and the emotions that arise triggered by a certain event. So yeah, that's really it. When it comes to more planned out work, I'm really bad at putting it out. Like it's all just drafts. I have so many drafts and so many
Is your zine like,
unpublished stuff.
is it a printed zine or is it a digital, like you only have digital copies? Or do you,
This is for scapegoat, the one I have on Feel It Circle. It's printed. Yeah,
Hmm.
I have print copies.
Your work is amazing. I mean, I just had to say it, not for anything
Thank you so
else,
much.
but
Thank you.
I when you sent it to me, I was just like my reply, and you can read because I did send it to you. Like I was just wow, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the feedback and the kind words.
Wahida is also the same as me. If I can finish a poem on the same day, I got the idea that calls for I yeah, instant self reward for sure. Like it's I don't know, it's kind of fulfilling. Just put out something out there, like you just thought of it today and then now it's out there. How about you, Kat? Uni says, I think what
Yeah.
stops me a lot of times is
Mhm.
judgment. Okay to be judged. That's all I can say. People are gonna
Yeah.
say whatever they want to say. So just whatever. So you
When it
just
comes to
gotta do
judgment, I think I have more of a desensitized uh, notion because I've been through writing workshops. And with writing
Mhm.
workshops, what goes on is that they read your work and then they give you, what's good about what you've written, what's to be improved, things like that. So I've attended a lot of that when I was younger. Which isn't to say that I'm older now. Anyway, but yeah, So that's why when I sort of backed a lot of their opinions about what I've written, and then okay, um, what are the ideas that I think will really help the work, and what doesn't? Because at the end of the day, whatever other people say, we're still the ones who are gonna write it, right? If they say, "Oh, this dialogue won't work," well, I like it, so I'm still gonna put it in. I don't care, things like that. So yeah, so I come from a sense of self doubt. Okay, when I write, but at the end of the day, it's my ego that wins. So uh, I'm still gonna push through the ending to finish the work. In terms of ideas, commute in Manila can be hellish. So I do a lot of thinking while I'm in commute. when I'm in the
Yeah.
train, or when I'm in a when I'm in a public utility vehicle, things like that. Um, However, a lot of times, when I have ideas, I don't write it down. Sometimes when I get home, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's how ideas come. And then oftentimes, uh, I think of scenes like, two people in a coffee shop talking about, stuff in the world, things like that. And then I write it down, and then from there, I kind of decide where it's gonna go. Like, is this the beginning, the end, things like that. I don't really write chronologically. For example, if I'm writing a novel, sometimes I write the ending first, okay, and
Yeah.
then I sort of
Fill
work
in the
back
blanks.
as to how did they end up in that ending. I
Yeah.
sort of trace it. It's sort of like an investigation. I investigate the characters, I investigate the world, and things like that. So that's how I do it. It's really a mess, because I don't really do outlines. um
Mhm.
i
You're
just
a
i just stick
pantser.
stick yeah, so for example, I'll be writing chapter 21, for example, right now. And then I'm gonna be writing a different scene, and I don't really know if it's chapter 20 or 19 or whatnot. But I sort of
Mm-hmm.
like just put it wherever it works as I write
Yeah.
the other things that's happening. Yeah, I'm not really the most organized person, to
But
be honest. Yeah.
no, that makes sense. As creatives here, you're not really you're not
Hmm.
really far off. But
Yeah.
I wanted to
Hmm.
ask, since your work, your chapbook is a compilation. So I don't know if you do this,
Hmm.
but for example, on our end, like as quote unquote editors, when we edit stuff, like we do
Hmm.
cut out the pieces, like short stories, whether short stories or poems. We cut them out and then we turn them into puzzle pieces, and we just try to like move things around, see what fits, and like, did you do that with your zine as well, with your chapbook?
Hmm. Yeah, with someone somewhere else. Since I've been writing it for a long time. The moment I wrote the first poem in the chapbook, I knew at once what the project would be. So
Mm-hmm.
it's for fiction, like I mentioned, I'm very disorganized. But with poetry, it's sort of like the whole concept of the book is in itself a poem.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, the first poem is like the first stanza of the overall project,
Poem.
which is a poetry in itself. So yeah, there's some not I would say it's more of an organized mess. It's more of an organized disorganization. So
Yeah.
the placement of each poem is sort of not really a puzzle, but it sort of has to be that way. Well, in my thinking, that is, of course. Sometimes it doesn't really always translate, with the readers, but like I said, it's their own exhumation. So, yeah, I
So
hope I made
chaotic
sense. Yeah, yeah,
plan. It's still
yeah,
a
yeah,
plan,
it's
but
I
it's
can't
chaotic.
really. It's a plan, yeah, but there's key in the disorganization that is happening.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
You
can't put it in more better words.
No, 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 we get it. We get it. We get it. Don't worry. How about uni? Uni, I think because I also understand when it's just like a straightforward kind of work, because my zines are shorter than usual. So I do tend to write like just short poems, sometimes just lines. So are the rest of your work the same, uni, or do you have like longer forms of written work?
I have longer forms because I used to do a lot of spoken word at a certain point.
Same or
So of course those are very long, and Really, with poetry, I don't really have a lens in mind when I write. How I like to think of my writing, especially with poetry, is I just let my hands take over. Most of the time, my mind just goes blank, and I just let my fingers type on my notes app or write on the paper. And then by the time I get back to consciousness, for lack of better terms, the piece is there. So it varies. Sometimes they're super long, super short. It really depends on how possessed I am in the topic or the message I'm trying to put out.
Mhm. So you guys are more words, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's all I have to
Well, that's
make
more than
her
enough. That's
that
more
song. Yeah,
than enough.
yeah,
Obviously, that's more than enough. Yeah, because um, 'cause I would love to like talk about trying things that you aren't good at. Like for example, with my zines, I'm not particularly good at design or doodles. Nobody is really skilled like an expert at doodle because it's doodling. But anyway, so I just wanted to share that when you do try things, like eventually it gets easier and you actually feel like you know what you're doing. Like if you try it for more than enough times, if that resonates. So I didn't start out knowing how to maybe create a collage on Canva. Like I could make a collage in real life with my actual hands and actual paper, but I had to learn it as I went along. So I guess what I wanted to ask you guys as well was there anything new that came up while working on your pieces? Like did you discover something about yourself or was it was your work like a validation of what you already knew about yourself?
On my end, I really learned a lot because I had no idea how to make a risograph piece or artwork prior to making that zine. I actually enrolled and paid for a risograph workshop, so I was learning on the spot on the creative aspect. For the writing, it was more or less just a validation of what I already know.
Mhm.
Yeah. But in regards to the publishing, this is my first time making a zine public. So I learned that it's a self reward on its own, and there's a really huge feeling of pride that comes with it that I should have kept holding on to, like, so it could snowball and I could have kept doing more. But I wasn't able to do that at
You
that
should have
point.
done this earlier. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I learned.
oh, thank you. That makes yeah, that's very relatable. How about you,
uh,
Kat?
yeah, yeah. In my case, like I've mentioned this plenty of times, but I started the work on the project in 2012. So it's 10 years ago, almost more than 10 years ago. So
Yeah,
I
more
was a
than
very
10
much,
years.
yeah, I was a very different person back then, a very different writer even. Probably I'm more naive and more idealistic. So you could just imagine the process of revising it, revisiting that person who was me 10 years ago. So yeah, uh, I don't know. I can't say if I learned anything because I've known who I am for that span of time. But I would
Mhm.
say it's more of like regret. Like I wish I could have been a better person. I wish I could have been a better partner. Things like that. So as I was
Mhm.
revising the poems, I was thinking that way. I was like, okay, I wish I could have done something different, things like that. But then again, when I think about it, it's sort of like, if I did something else, if I became something
Yeah,
else back then, other than what I really was, then
we
the
wouldn't
project
be
would have
here.
been, okay, yeah, and it would have been a different project. It would have been a different. thing, I probably wouldn't have written it. So yeah,
Hey, that's a
I
great
think that's a
writing
great,
prompt.
yeah, that's a great learning. Yeah, also
Yeah,
to learn
Steph
that,
says giving oneself is
yeah,
so important. It is, and I've done that, and that's why
yeah,
I
yeah,
can write about joy. So
yeah, yeah.
that's why like I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
I I know that everybody will eventually get there because everybody deserves
Mm-hmm.
to like feel lighter, if not exactly happier, but at least lighter, and
Mm-hmm.
to shed off some of the heaviness in our lives. So, but you know what? You know what's a great writing prompt? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
knew what you knew and could go back in time, would you
Mm-hmm.
still would you like would you change the way you did things? But the caveat is the things the things you're going to change is still going to end up the same. It's like a it's
It's a pretty complex
right
thing because yeah.
because I keep hearing that from other people. Like Uni just said it. Like she she said that she wished she could have done things earlier, and you did say that you feel regret. And I'm like, maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's also of what has happened in my life that got me here. That everything that has happened in the past, like they were meant to happen, and that
Mhm.
even if we twist and turn everything else, it's all gonna end up the same. There you go, dark
Yeah,
KB.
yeah. I think that's a one thing funny about that is that you know if everything was meant to happen, then why do I have the choice to change one thing?
Exactly.
Pretty
But
pretty
at
weird
least
thing.
we're
Yeah.
given a choice. At least the choice
Hmm.
is there. So, but it is a very
Choice. Yeah.
it's a very
I
silly
don't know.
choice.
I don't know really. To become other than who I was back then would mean different consequences in my life. So
Yeah,
I
different
don't know
person.
really. Yeah. I
Oh,
wouldn't
but
be here talking about it if I
you
change
know
one
what?
thing.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny, Uni and Kat? I do think that whatever we did in the past, it will still
Hmm.
bring us here to this moment
Yeah.
here at Sea Lit Circle doing this Zinester Talk.
Hmm. I'd
Whatever.
probably be presenting a different project. Maybe a more positive one if I'd done differently in the past. Yeah.
No, don't be pressure. Just be yourself. Just
Hmm.
embrace the pain or embrace the darkness. Because yeah, it's important to feel our feelings and to feel to
Yeah.
for our feelings to be validated. And
Mhm.
yeah. So Uni just said a good point. I'm just gonna chat right now because it got noisy here. That's okay. I think Uni said that she's from Cebu. Oh, I think we're
Mhm.
representing the Philippines well. Because I'm from
Yes.
Mindanao. She's from Visayas, and Kat is from
I'm in Luzon. Yeah, I'm in Manila.
yeah.
Hmm.
You're in Manila. I used to live in Manila for 15 years and then came back
Wow.
home. I'm in Davao. So it's raining here.
Oh, beautiful place.
Temperature. Oh, thank you.
I haven't
Um,
been anywhere else. I've only been in Manila, Cavite, yeah, things like that.
this is your cue to visit Uni and me. So,
Yeah, yeah.
where Uni? Davao here? Oh, it's not near. Surigao is like 8 hours away by bus. By bus. It's near to me. It is. But anyway, we're digressing. So zines.
Mm,
Zines are great. Zines are an exercise for your creativity, your emotional
mhm.
health. And I wish there was
Exercise the demon.
yeah,
Within
exactly.
you.
And it's such a great opportunity to be here with you guys because I do like I very much enjoy the intimate setup of talks because I
Mhm.
like listening and obviously I like questions. So It's really great hearing from you guys, especially that
Yeah,
our works are not that different, but like just in the different categories.
I think the organizers did a well job, teaming us up together.
I think so too.
'Cause
I
I
think
think
so.
we gelled so well, yeah.
Yeah, I
And it's
think
great
so
meeting
too.
you guys. Yeah, I look forward to more of your projects. I mean, I've
Oh,
heard
that
of
said,
yeah, I've
yeah,
heard
that
of
said, what are
Seal It.
your next projects?
I have okay. I'm actually learning Korean on the side, so I'm working on some stories that I've
Ano?
translated to Korean. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's kind of my next project. I've written some stuff about K-pop and stuff. And then I'm also writing a new novel as well, so
Oh,
hopefully
wow.
gonna be pitching that to a publisher sometime soon. I don't know, but yeah.
More
How about you
power.
guys?
Well, you're gonna
Yeah,
query.
thanks
Like you
so
can
much.
also self-publish. Get all that, get all the executive decisions done by yourself. Um, yeah. Uni says, I'm so glad we got to know each other. Where can we find your works online that the audience know too? Steph says she will
Hmm.
link our stuff in the comment section,
Yeah.
but because we're already here, I'm gonna share my link.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
all you have to do is search Hey Kebe online, HEYKEBE, and everything will appear. And everything is yours for the taking. And my zines are available on Coffee and Gumroad. I'm also on Patreon. So, yep, that branding stuff, we gotta stick to it, or else it's gonna be chaos. You don't know where to point people to. So that's it for me. How about you, Kat and Uni?
yeah. So I have a Facebook page that I've been posting a lot of stuff lately. So just look for Katarina Velasquez. I'll be appearing there. And then I'm going to be sending in the in-call messages the link to my novel. It's called There is a Light That Never Goes Out. It's what's published last year by Eight Letters. So yeah, There is a Light That Never Goes Out. Also a title of a song by the Smiths, if you're familiar. And then yeah, my zine from the Select Circle Zine Market. Someone somewhere else, please check it out. It's for a cheap price. So yeah. And then I also have a collection of short fiction. It's called it's in Filipino, so but it's called Mga Karaniwang Lungkot. So yeah, it's still sad. Sad stuff. So yeah, that's it. I hope you check it out.
I will for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay, it's quiet now. So for me naman, I mostly post my essays and poetry on my Instagram. So that's Lara.eviota. That's my real name. So Lara.eviota. And then I'm also working on an email newsletter exploring place and travel. So I will also be posting that on Instagram once it's out. Also working on a zine, a collaborative zine with my photographer and designer friend. So yeah, everything will be just announced on Instagram once they're all ready. Yeah, thank you everyone.
Yay! Wow. So excited. Looking forward to read your stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think I answered that a while ago, but just to reiterate, as I write the line, the footnote follows. So sort of it's like a conversation actually as I write it. So I write the first line and the footnote follows the answer and then another line, so on and so forth. So you could just imagine how I've been writing it on MS Word. It's a bit up and downy. Yeah.